Obviously, ecstatic about any win, ecstatic about that victory. And again, it's awesome you beat a Big Ten team. It's awesome you beat a Big Ten team on the road. It's awesome you beat a Big Ten team without your starting left tackle, without your starting quarterback, without your starting defensive end, without your starting field corner. We had some pretty good players not play. But really, for me, the most awesome thing is how we played and how we did it. We definitely took a step forward execution-wise, particularly on the defensive side of the ball and particularly in the run game. Our defense made far less mistakes than they made in the first 3 weeks. They played just as hard as they played the first 3 weeks, and they flew around, and we made about the same amount of plays because we made a bunch of plays on defense when we were in positions the first 3 weeks. We made a bunch of plays and created a bunch of havoc, but we were way more disciplined on that side of the ball in the run game and in the pass game. So that was awesome to see. We executed a lot of our calls better on defense and better in the run game. And then just how the game developed, we know they're a big physical team. Their strength is their offensive line. Their strength, they got like the whole kids third in the country in all-purpose yards or whatever, 200 some yards a game, all-purpose yards. And we know that's who they are. They're a pound the football, and then they've been throwing around good. And then defensively, they're really sound and really physical and tough to run against. So you run the ball effectively the whole night. And then obviously you have a huge explosive play in the fourth quarter. But we are running the ball better than we had the first 3 weeks. I'd argue even better than Robert Morris. We are carving out a pretty good run game. And we're stopping the run against a team that's very difficult to stop the run in the back. Hull had 1,250 yards in the Big Ten last year. He's and their other two backs are really good players too. And we're defending the run well. So you win the battle of the run. We don't turn the ball over, which if you're going to be underdog and a little undermanned on the road against a Big Ten team, you can't turn the ball over, And we got 2 turnovers. We almost got 6 turnovers. We had other opportunities. There was a fumble that wasn't called a fumble was called a fumble and then overturned, which was bizarre to me, but I'm not in the replay booth, but it was called a fumble on the field, so I agree with the guys on the field. But and then we had multiple chances to get our hands on the ball. 2 went right through our hands, and other times we could have got to balls that we got in the quarterback's face. Unlike Cincinnati, our pass rush, I know we didn't sack them, but we were around them and made them throw the ball early and made them throw some errant throws, made them make some poor choices. We got our hands on some balls. So you win the rushing battle, you win the turnover battle. We don't give up any big plays. We only get one explosive, but it was obviously at a key time. And then we win the special teams. So everything we said we have to do, we didn't say going in we're going to throw for 300 yards. Like that wasn't the game plan. The game plan was to go run the ball. We certainly want to be more efficient in the passing game. We have to be more efficient in the passing game. We were not efficient in the passing game against Northwestern. But if you look at run game on both sides of the ball, pass game, special teams, turnovers, chunk plays, we did everything we needed to do to put ourselves in position to win a game on the road. And then how it plays out, it's tight, and it's like next score wins, and not next score wins because of momentum. Next score wins because probably it's going to be the only score. No one can score. It's 7-7 halfway through the fourth quarter. So if anybody can get a field goal, they'll probably win the game. And then they kind of put together a nice drive. And even their scoring drive, they went 14 plays, 58 yards, 12 plays, 58 yards. They didn't even average 5 yards a play on their scoring drive. So even that drive, we weren't playing terrible defense. They just kind of leaned on us, and kind of marched it down there methodically and put together a really nice drive and pushed us around a little bit on that drive and moved the line of scrimmage a little bit on that drive, but it wasn't like they just gouged us. And then our offense responds to me like, we need them to step up. It's 14-7. Everybody's thinking the same thing, like that's the ball game. We haven't scored. We got a 2-play, 8-yard scoring drive. That's what we have to show for the day. So game's over. Good effort. Another hard-fought game. Kids play their tail off, but you're going home a loser. And then we've been talking since the first quarter, man. We're close to breaking one of these. Like, there was air, and we were getting 6-8, and it was like we had talked about, we must have said on the sidelines 5 more times, man, we're going to break one. Just keep leaning on them. Finish your blocks. And then we got a hole, and Mosey turns it into a big play, and we score. And then, like I say, from there, then the defense comes right back out and gets a stop. Like, immediately, bam, gets a stop. Offense then puts together a phenomenal drive. I mean, we go from 7 minutes to 21 seconds, you kick a field goal, and then your kicker, who's 0 for 2, steps up and makes a kick. Like we talked last week, like, we've been starting fast. We've been coming out ready to play. And again, we didn't score first, and but we were ready to play. And it wasn't like we weren't playing good football. We were there to play a football game like their games. But we talked all week, we got to finish, and obviously we finished spectacular. I mean, you can't say from the time they go 14-7, we did everything right. From OD and special teams, did everything right. So it was a great way to win any game. You know, if that was a MAC game, that would have been one heck of a victory. The fact that it's, you know, a Big Ten opponent on the road, and we haven't beat one of them since we had a Hall of Fame quarterback at the helm. You know, been a long time. So it was great. And then, like I said, for the kids, it's fantastic for all the kids to have that moment. You know, and then I talked like the Ryan McWoods and the Jalen Walkers of the world, like. They came here when we were lousy. Like McWood was here, we were lousy, you know. And then, like the only thing he hadn't done is getting one. You know, he's won a conference championship, he's won a bowl game, he's had tons of success individually. But now you say I got a Power 5 victory under my belt. Like to me, it was pretty cool. And again, just a cool experience for everybody. So and then like we had talked last week, like it's Northwest. Like it was what I thought it was. 2 class programs, 2 programs that have unbelievable student athletes. If you were on the field, that was a physical football game. There was some unbelievable hits both ways. They hit us a few times right in front of me, and the chain guy looked at me, he's like, wow. like, because you were down there, it was fighting for every yard, just like I thought the 2 programs would, and right down to the last 21 seconds, everybody's scratching and clawing, and so everything I thought of, like I said, I don't know, we can't play Northwestern every year, but that's as like opponent as we'll ever have of how they run their program, how they run their university, what they expect of their student athletes across the board. All right. Then obviously, you know, like we said with the Walker ties and the Parsegian ties, it's like, again, it was pretty awesome day in Evanston.
All right, questions?
On the big play, of course, you don't get one of those every day. What went right on that? Was it more a question of catching them in something, or just pure execution and that sprung it open?
Yeah, we had some movement pre-snap, and then we had some movement post-snap, and they got their fits that they didn't get their fits exactly right, and then we got a really good push. So the combination of there's other plays, no one fits the run every play right. There's other plays that didn't fit the run right. We didn't get the push. So we got a really good push, so we hit it clean. So there's no time for, you know, because we misfit things. Everybody misfits things in the run. So we were zooming a guy and faxing a guy. But when they misfit it, we got a great push, so it just hit out the front door with a really fast guy, where if we don't get a push, it'll still hit there, but it'll bounce to there, and then it's probably a 6-8 yard gain like we'd had. But the combination of they didn't fit it right, and then we got some really nice movement. So the ball was handed off, and it hit right down Broad Street, and Mosey's fast. And, you know, the guys that could react didn't have time to react because it hit so north and south. So, again, that's how big plays happen. They didn't play it perfectly, and we had a really good push up front. And Mosey just got the ball and ripped it. And then his speed, obviously, big difference because, I thought he scored. The guy caught him was rolling because no one, he was rolling by the one guy that had an angle. He gassed him, but the one guy made a heck of an effort to at least get it to where we had to execute another play.
On stats, penalties and turnovers are going to be very important for this team just about every week, especially on offense, correct?
Yeah, and they're always important. Like you said, now you get a MAC play where all the games are so close, so it comes down to one play. Like that's MAC football. Like it's going to be one play or one play there. So it's, you know, penalties and turnovers. You know, we'd say turnovers and chunk plays always determine games. If you win the chunk play battle and win the turnover battle, you usually win the game. Those are the stats that mean the most when it comes to winning. And then obviously penalties. And like you mentioned, offense, like staying ahead of the chains for our offense is important. It's important for any offense, but it's more important when you have an inexperienced quarterback that you're not quite as explosive as you may be. And if you had a more experienced guy like Brett back there, you can overcome some. So, yeah, definitely for us, again, the key of the game is the 2 turnovers in the block punt is a turnover. Like that's we really had 3 turnovers to none. They don't count block punts as turnovers. They should be. That's just like they fumbled the snap from center. We got the ball on the 8 yard line. It's so those are the difference in the game. So and they'll be critical from like you said, they'll be critical from here on out for sure.
You mentioned how physical the game was. How'd you guys come out of it?
We'll see. We're hurting yesterday, so we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. There's, McWood broke his hand, so, he went sprinting off the field with Doc Daly and didn't miss a series, And they knew it was broke. Like, it wasn't like he didn't know. Like, he knew it was broke. Like, he cast it as best they could cast it. Not like you'll cast if you're at the hospital. Like, we put a cast on there, and the kid goes back and plays the whole rest of the fourth quarter and plays his tail off. So, again, that's how you win games. That's, not everybody's going to do that. Like, some guys have far less than a broken hand and don't go back in the game. Some guys' hamstrings are tight. Some guys' shoulders a little sore. Some guys, it's college football. You're not going to, if you play a number of snaps, you're not going to feel good. So, but we'll see. I don't know if we'll see what happens with him this week. And then other guys, we'll see. We'll see more tomorrow. We just got to see how we're nothing major, but we're pretty beat up. There was a lot of guys that had a hard time lifting weights yesterday and standing straight up. So it's not just last week. You go Kentucky, Cincinnati, Northwestern in 4 weeks. You're going to be a beat up football team. That's what we do here. And like I always say, I wish we wouldn't do it, but it's what we do. It's not in the best interest of Miami football. It's not in the best interest of these kids, but it is the best interest of making money. So we make a lot of money in these games, but we don't schedule to be healthy when conference play. And everybody says, well, that's the MAC. It's not the MAC. Go look at all 12 MAC schedules, because I keep hearing that's the way the MAC does it. That is a bunch of. It's not the way the MAC does it. Toledo played one Power 5. They didn't go Big 12, SEC, Big 10, and they didn't go all on the road. So, and again, I know you with Kent State. I know Kent State was on a bigger suicide mission than we're on. So, yeah, you can point to one, that's 12th worst schedule, and then we had the 11th worst schedule in the league by far. And a lot of them are really, really good schedules, So, but we're beat up right now, and but we're beat up. This is 9 straight years we've been beat up, so we're used to it. Toledo's not as beat up as us, I promise you. Look at their schedule. Look at Eastern Michigan's schedule. Go look at all 12. Like, we pretend it's not. No, we're a hurting unit. We didn't have four starting left tackle, starting quarterback. Our starting Ty Wiseman, our best player through 3 weeks of defense, didn't play. All right, didn't play. Got his head knocked off at Cincinnati. It wasn't. Their 6'6", 260-pound All-American tight end knocked his head off. He didn't have a head injury, but if everybody saw the game, saw the play. It was talk about a third-round NFL draft pick, probably about annihilated my guy, and then our field corner didn't play. So but that's what I said. And we're going to. This is going to be 5 games in the year. We've been at home one time. Go look at 132 Division I schedules, and then show me the other team that's got that. You don't have to look at 12. Look at 132 teams that through 5 weeks, and we're going to go to Northwestern, get back at 6 a.m., and now we're going to go to Buffalo. So it's all part. It's wear and tear. These kids are young kids that go to class at Miami, and I got pre-med majors, and I got pre-law majors, and I got business majors. So they spend a lot of time during the week not on football. So but again, it's obviously that's what we sign up for, boy. I said we like to be the underdog. We like adversity. I said that's so going on the road now. This will be 4 road games and 5. And that's hard. It's 6 hours on a bus to Glenbrook South. We get off the bus Friday. Our kids are, it's all part of it. Being at home's a lot. You're going to be a lot fresher. You're going to spend a lot less wear and tear on your body. So we'll be happy to get our second home game week 6. We love it. And then if somebody's going to ask me, what's it like to be at Jaeger? It's awesome to be at Jaeger. Bake asked me, I'm like, I can't wait. We're never here. We're never here. But heck of a road win and heck of an effort by the kids, and very happy for that. If you're in the locker room, it's pretty cool to see those kids celebrate, and the young guys too, because they deserve that. That's awesome the freshmen in there celebrate. But some of the older guys, I'm like, yeah, they've been through a lot. It's pretty good to have that moment, to beat a Big Ten team, and it's hard to do. Obviously, we hadn't done it since 2003, so just to have that enjoyment. Every win is fun, but that. They'll remember that one, be when people talk. And I always say, we have such an incredible history with Miami football. And I said, things go up on the wall. MAC championships go on the wall. Bowl victory goes on the wall. Power 5 victories go on the wall. So there's some things that, everything's important. But there's things, and I always say, it's one thing to play in a program that has a great history. It's another thing to be a part of the history. And, up until last year, none of our kids that during my time here could well, here's all these bowl victories. Hey, Dad, which one did you play in someday? When you bring your family back. Well, I didn't, but my school has this great history of bowl. Well, you win the bowl game, and when you come back and you talk about the 2022 Frisco, hey, Dad, no, I played in that game, or I was on that team. 2019, hey, Dad, you got the most MAC championships. Great. Did you play on any? No. Okay. Well, it's not as versus, and then say, hey, you have all these, Power 5 victories we all schools showcase their great accomplishments. And that's okay, did you play any of those games? No, I never played in one. When I was here, we never beat a Power 5 team. Now, just so again, that's something forever. You know what I mean? It's not that important today, but when these 110 kids are 25, 35, 40, it'll be when they come back and visit Miami, which they will, and they come through the building and those things are on the wall. I would say you're now part of the history. You're just not at a school that has great history. You can say, Ryan McWood can say, that was my bowl victory, that's my championship, and that's my time we went in a Big Ten and won a Power 5 game. I said the best thing is when you're 30 and 40, you can talk about, y'all blocked the punt that changed. Hey, I blocked that punt. It wasn't Caden Willard, that was me, because we all remember, when Caden Willard will be the only one that blocked the punt, but a lot of guys can tell, the kids won't know, hey, all of us when we get older, we remember things, then sometimes people show us tape, and it's like, I thought I looked a little better when I remember that day I dominated. I didn't really dominate, but we won, so it's pretty. But again, that when we talk about memories for a lifetime, that's why we do this. That'll stay with those kids forever. I mean, it really will.
Coach, I'm going to move on to Buffalo here a little bit. They just put up 50 points last weekend. I'm sure you've watched some of that film already. Just what do they do offensively that you have to be worried about?
Yeah, they've been very good on offense all year. They played Maryland tough, and if you watch Maryland play Michigan really tough a week ago, Maryland's a talented group, and that was very similar to maybe our Kentucky or our Cincinnati game. The score maybe not as close. It was a very fair fight. Maryland kind of warmed down. And then they had Coastal down going into the fourth quarter, and everybody knows how good Coastal Carolina's been. They were up 19-17 the fourth quarter, and you watch that game, and Coastal's got a bunch of great athletes, and Buffalo was toe-to-toe, and then Coastal ends up beating them, not by a lot, but that was a very, a very, very good game. And then they lost in a shootout to Holy Cross. They had Holy Cross beat. Holy Cross has a Hail Mary the last play of the game to beat them. So they had, their first three games, if they don't give up a Hail Mary, they're kind of like us. They're 1-2 their first three games, but they played two pretty good teams and played them pretty well. And then last week they got into the MAC. They got Eastern Michigan, and Eastern Michigan's coming off a win against Arizona State, and I always say, that's one team just lost to Holy Cross, one team just beat Arizona State. Well, who's going to win the game? The team that beat Arizona State. Obviously, all the fans and the media know that they're obviously very good, and this team's obviously not very good, but there's 18 to 22-year-old kids, and it's hard to do this. So what happens is Eastern probably takes their foot off the gas a little bit. Their kids, not their coaches, because we know, but the kids think they're good because they beat Northwestern. Therefore, you must be good. And now it's easy, so I can cut corners. I don't have to read my keys. I don't have to practice as hard. I don't have to necessarily be as locked in as I was when we beat Arizona State. And Buffalo went out and destroyed them and hung 50. They ran the ball, which they're really good at running the football, and they threw the ball like they did. There was no punts in the first half and no turnovers. I've never seen that in a game. I've seen the no punts where I scored 3 times and turned it over twice. There was no punts. Makes sense. There was no punts and no turnovers in the first half for either team. And Buffalo punted once all day, and they threw it and they ran it. They're really good at run the football. They're really committed to run the football. They're really, really efficient in their passing game. They do their RPOs, and they do a lot of short passes. They always stay ahead of the chains. They always are in third and short, third and medium. They're never in third and long. And then they got some talented receivers, and they take their shots, and they make some big plays down the field every week. So they're really good in every phase. Their short passing game, really efficient. Run game, outstanding. Shot passes, play actions, they get chunk plays every week. So they're doing all the things that great offense do. That's how you score 50 points and punts one time in a game, coming off a team that's obviously Eastern's a pretty good football team. So defensively, they're a quarters, 4-down quarters team, and they've got a bunch of new guys. They had a huge transition last year, just like we did on defense. They had a bunch of guys that had been there a long time at Buffalo that we've gone against with COVID for a long time. A lot of names. Well, now there's a bunch of new guys, and they're been really good at times. They're kind of like our defense, and okay at times, and at times a little bit a little bit undisciplined. So, but offensively, they've been really, really good and really potent.